Doctors, what was the best excuse you've heard for someone having something stuck in their ass? I am a nurse, a male as well. Guy came to my hospital with a cue ball stuck in his rectum. Said him and his wife were having sex and this happened. Made no excuses and showed no shame. ER doc was unable to remove it with forceps and he had to get anesthesia to have a minor surgical procedure to get it out. My job was basically to just go through a pre-surgical checklist and send him on his way. When I'm done he shouts excitedly, "All right, let's get this ball rolling." I almost died laughing. It was near the end of my shift and I always wonder what happened to him. I'm sure he did fine and is back to having amazing kinky sex with his wife. Guy told me he was constipated so he stuck the broom handle up there to break up the poop. I almost believed him. Edit, it was half of a broom handle, cut off and wrapped in electrical tape. All the way inside his ass. There was a news story in my country, a man went to the ER and they discovered that he drunkenly put 2 hammerheads in his ass, his reasoning being that he ate a jar of preserved cherries with pits and then had abdominal pain and wanted to smash the pits. So I actually once did fall naked in my bedroom and my ass cheeks smashed hard onto the end of a small dumbbell that was angles up at 45 degrees. I'm coming to realize after reading all of this that had it hit the bullseye, no one would have fucking believed me. And then someone comments. My cousin who is a doctor once told me that when you really do fall on something and it goes up there it's not pretty, there is tearing and overall injury. When there is no injury where it went in you know it was likely eased in and that's how they know the "I fell on it" story is bullshit. A friend of mine used to work in a dispatch call center for emergency services. In these call centers there needs to be a triage nurse on site to deal with life-threatening situations. So my mate tells me about this story she had, where a man came in with a garden gnome up his hoop. His story was that he went shopping and locked himself out the house, so needed to climb back in through the second floor window, fell back, and got entered by the gnome. I mean, the gnome was inside his pants, like there was no gnome-shaped hole in his pants, but whatever, let's call it a miracle. So anyway, they get this gnome out, fishing rod and all, patch him up and send him on his way. 3 hours later a different dude comes in with the same problem and the same story. After cutting through the bullshit they determined the 2 blokes had been gnoming each other, realized they both needed doctors, arranged to go to different hospitals with this 200x story, and one of them got mixed up. Still makes me laugh to this day. A friend of mine works at reception in an ER. She actually had a story about a guy who came in with a dumbbell in his rectum. Although he was considered high priority, they were super busy and there was nowhere near the front to stand so she told him to wait in the rear. When I was a student working in an ER a guy came in with an unraveled wire hanger stuck and hooked up there. He said he was trying to fish out the vibrator he lost. A college friend who was an ER nurse said the best thing she ever witnessed was a small snow globe with the message "World's Greatest Dad" on the inside. ER nurse, I tried to dig something out of my ass with a barbecue skewer. Skewer got stuck. Ripped a hole in his intestines. He waited so long to come in he was septic. 1 stat or visit and an ICU stay later. Please don't call my mom. Guy was tripping hard on LSD. Guy puts a vibrator, one of the massive cordless swan types, way up there, like a mega seed, and it gets sucked into the sigmoid colon. When he gets to me in the ER I ask him how he was feeling. He answered, "Well doc, I'm way better since the batteries died." Made my night. It always boils down to the person accidentally sat on it. The best my dad saw, a former emergency doctor, was a young guy who accidentally sat on a giant tub of Vaseline. Accidentally. I asked how doctors record that in their patient files, and the common way to do so is to say the patient claims to have sat on X object. Edit, my dad's thrilled that his story has touched so many of you. Guy came in with a cordless phone up his ass, like one of the old school ones from 15 years ago. He said that when he was in the kitchen bending over opening the oven door, someone threw it through his open window and it just went right up. Worked on ambulances, not a doctor. Mostly bottles or vegetables. The aubergine was the biggest but potatoes and carrots seemed to be popular. Ketchup, mayo and glass cola bottles were common at one point. Also 1 butt plug and a toilet brush. The last 2 were honest and very distraught. Others all had naked gardening stories. There's an even worse question you haven't asked, which is for things people have shoved up their urethras, only men in my experience. My mom was a nurse and always remembered the guy whose wife was out of town so he was cooking naked and slipped and fell on a potato. Paramedic, here. Had one guy tell me he slipped on a banana peel and landed on the upright vase on the floor. He then proceeded to produce a banana peel for good measure. Not an excuse, but a medic told me that they have contests about what is the most unexpected thing they pulled out of butts. The winner was a guy that put an electric Christmas decoration, the ones you wrap around the tree. In her own words, the legend doesn't say whether he plugged it or not. I should have asked what the excuse was for that one. Presented at ER in Sydney with carrot stuck in the arse. Doctor, what happened? Patient, I heard a noise in the garden. Went to investigate. Slipped and fell over. Carrot went up my bum. Doctor, carrots grow upside down out your way, huh? My sister is a surgical nurse and a guy came into the hospital with a pool noodle shoved up his ass. It was so deep that they had to cut open his abdomen, intestines and colon to cut the foam out of him. He said he fell on it while swimming nude. But when they cut him open, it had a condom stretched over the end of it. When they confronted him, he said, "Please don't tell me, wife." When I was a student working in an ER, a guy came in with an unraveled wire hanger stuck and hooked up there. He said he was trying to fish out the vibrator he lost.